Hey everyone, how you doing? All right. So this is gonna be like a quick video here about my first 3 day fast, right? So I've got like 8 hours and 28 minutes left, roughly. So almost there. I think the longest fast I've ever done in my life is maybe like a day. You know, when you have to have like a surgery done or something like that. So I'm pretty sure that's the longest I've ever fasted is 24 hours. And it's always felt horrible because, the doctor tells you, like, hey, you got to fast for 24 hours. You're going to go under the knife or whatever it is. You're going to go to some kind of surgery. And everyone's like, oh, that's horrible. I can't possibly imagine going 24 hours without food. At least, most people I know. And me up to that point. Um, but it's interesting. I know there's like the spiritual angle and the physical angle. I mean, there's tons of benefits, right? You've got you got weight management issues if you're morbidly obese, or there's some issue like that, or you're trying to get some weight off. There's that. There's the spiritual angle, of course. You're praying during your fasting, and sometimes people have breakthroughs when they fast, and that oddly happened to me. Um, wasn't wasn't expecting it, and it or what happened, I definitely wasn't expecting as something that would come out of a fast. It doesn't make any sense at all, but it did happen. So it is what it is. But yeah, I guess I'll just go through. It's been kind of rambling. I don't have anything to share, not for this one. So, but like I said, almost through it. Um, it was much easier than I thought it would be because, like I said initially, doctor tells you like, oh, you gotta fast for 24 hours. Like, oh, I can't imagine. It's so terrible. I'm gonna miss, your coffee and soda and candy and chips and all the normal food groups, right? Um, but it was much easier than I thought. Day one, you're gung ho, right? You're like, I'm doing this. It's a spiritual, you're submitting yourself, you're humbling yourself before God, you're trying to teach yourself, like, or show yourself, like, what it's like for people in the world that don't have food. You see people starving on TV, on infomercials and things like that, or in person. And, you're like, oh, that's so sad. It's terrible. But, and it is. And it needs to be fixed. But, it's a work in progress. But it's different, like, when you don't know what it feels like, right? It's one thing to see it and think it's sad. And go, oh, it's so sad. And hopefully you do something about it. But it's different when you actually experience it, you know? When you, when you go without food for even a day would seem like traumatic for some people. But 3 days, and that's not the longest fast in the world. Come on, there's people that have fasted like 40, 50, 60, I don't know, 50, who knows? And starved maybe even longer, but it depends on how much resources you have to utilize. So it's not like some super long fast, it's not going to set any records, nothing like that. But I'll tell you what, if you've never fasted before, like ever, like maybe the longest you've ever fasted is 24 hours because of a procedure you had to have done and the doctor told you how to do it, it's it's life altering, even 3 days. And to people that are doing like 5, 7, 21 day fast, 50-day fast, who knows? Like to those people that might sound silly, but maybe they remember their first 3 day fast, where they did it and it was, it helped them out quite a bit. So I'll at least speak of my experience. That's all I know. So I'll just speak of mine. Um, Things that changed, like it, it makes you really think about food, like really think about how much you're consuming, what you're consuming, the times that you're consuming it. Um, you'll really notice like all the advertising and the television, online, ads, internet, everything. Like you'll realize how much food advertising is out there. And then just because of who I am and like how I think now, and then it's more impactful because I see like all the ads for Coca-Cola and all the ads for like murdered animals and sugar and candy, and like when you're checking out at Walmart, ugh, Walmart, just going there is painful. They got all these dead animals, like sealed up in packages so you don't see the murder. There's candy and sugar everywhere. Processed food wrapped in plastic. It's awful, all of it. The only section I like walking into is the produce section. Because at Walmart, they don't do like all the packaged stuff, like they don't take perfectly good fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and things like that, legumes, leafy greens. They don't take those and then wrap them in plastic, which is going to destroy the planet. So you've got something that was given to us by God, right? Natural foods that our bodies are designed to absorb and use the nutrients and minerals and all that good stuff, right? That's what we're supposed to be eating. That's what God gave us. God gave us this planet, this beautiful planet that we're destroying, and God gave us the fruits and the vegetables, right? Seeds, legumes, all the good food groups, right? So God gave us all that. That's what we're supposed to be eating. But when you go in the grocery store, what you're going to find is in a lot of grocery stores, those beautiful things that God gives us for free, even though we have to grow them, we have to put a little work in, but they're given to us for free. They're already here. They're already here for us, right? God feeds us. God nourishes us. Gives us what we need. Not what we want. Not always what you want, because that has consequences, but what you need. And then I walk in the store, even in the produce section, like there's fruits and vegetables and things, and they're wrapped in plastic. But at least Walmart, they're pretty good about this. They have a lot of bulk sections, almost like a bazaar or something like that. They have like the little end caps and they're just loaded up with the fruits and vegetables, and you take them and you put them in your reusable bag, or you don't use a bag, whatever. Just don't use the plastic bags. So that's my favorite section because I can get it and I don't really feel bad about it. It's as good as you can feel about anything. I didn't grow it myself, but I don't really have the land here for it to live in the city. But it's nice, right? I'm eating what God gave us to eat. That's what we were supposed to eat. That's what we're supposed to eat now. And it's nice to be able to go in there and get those products and use them. But at least half or 3/4 of the produce department is wrapped in plastic. You've got beautiful organic apples and honeydews and all kinds of other stuff, right? Beautiful organic fruits and vegetables. And then you wrap them in plastic, which destroys the planet that God gave us as a gift. So God gave us this entire planet as a gift for us to reside on. Ours. We didn't pay for it, right? God's not a capitalist. He didn't charge us for it. It was free. It was given to us for free. He didn't ask for any money. He didn't ask for anything. Just wants to have a relationship with his creation, us. That's it. That's what he's looking for. Just like a parent wants to have a relationship with their children, God wants to have a relationship with us. And just like a parent, the parent knows, some parents know, what is good for the children because of their experience and things that they've been through. And they know, and they created everything, so they kind of know everything. But as a parent, you give your kids rules and boundaries, not because you're mean or rude or anything like that or sadistic, because you want to help them. Because you know that if you do things in this way, this order, and you get them done, you'll be in great shape, right? But getting back to my point, this is going to be a rambling video. So yeah, it's terrible. Everything's wrapped in plastic. We're destroying, back to the gift. Yeah. God gave us the planet. God gave us all the fruits and vegetables, everything, right? It's all ours for free. But you can't destroy it. Like, you can't take someone's gift and then set it on fire and destroy it. Not only are you destroying it for you, you're destroying it for everyone else. And the people that are going to have to come behind you and live in the wasteland that you make for them. So that's not going to be pleasant. They'll sit back and blame their ancestors for destroying the planet that used to be beautiful that they destroyed, but all they'll be able to do is complain because we'll have already done all the work destroying the place. And then we'll say, hey, come on in. Enjoy this dump that we've created for you. It was beautiful. It was amazing. And we trashed the joint. So hopefully we'll make changes to where we don't do that and we'll actually care about the people that come after us because that impacts all of us. So I'd like to see a nicer place. I don't want to pop into a wasteland, right? Some hellish environment. I'd rather not deal with that, and I don't think you would either. So, but you go through the produce department, everything's wrapped in plastic. Not all of it, but some of it. But at least they have the bulk section, which is super nice. I like that. When I was over in Israel, they had stuff like that. Like they would sell fruits and vegetables, but it wasn't in a bag. It was a box. Nothing. No packaging. Zero packaging. Just what God gave you on a little cart. Just there. You give them the money and you get the products and you take them. You put them in a reusable bag. But everything else in the store is horrific. It's just plastic everywhere. Sugary beverages, sodas, juices loaded with sugar, cereals loaded with sugar. I mean, you should see the sugar on this stuff. Even people like that feed their kids are like, oh, I gave them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yeah? Well, number one, that peanut butter is super heavy. And maybe it's natural. A lot of that's not natural, though. I mean, some of it's natural oil. Some of it's like just peanuts squished up. But not all of it. A lot of it's got a bunch of oils and nasty stuff in there. And sugar. They add sugar to peanut butter for, I don't know why. Probably because it makes people hungry. You get their insulin jacked up and then it comes down, their blood sugar drops, they want to eat some more. I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody at a food manufacturing company that sat back and was like, ooh, we can add this stuff in here and they'll consume 20% more calories per day. We'll make more money. We'll make more profit for the shareholders. It'll be amazing. So I'm sure they've done studies like that. They bring in psychologists, nutritionists, biologists. They figure out, oh, I can get these guys to eat 20% more food. Let's do it. Well, it's going to destroy their bodies. So what? They'll be alive for however long they're going to be alive. They'll be good consumers. They'll make us lots of money. Lots of money. So, yeah. And sugar, it's in cereal. Oh, my goodness. You're feeding this to your children? Have you looked in a cereal box lately? Number one, they could probably skip breakfast. Probably be better for them. Give the body more time to clear out and things like that. But load them up with the sugar and the jelly. The jelly is like 20, 30 grams of sugar per serving. That is insanity. And it's everywhere. The cereal products, all the little snack bars and juices. And I mean, there's sugar just all over. You're going in there just buying sugar. And fat and all these nasty oils that they put in the food. It's disgusting. Destroys our bodies. And that's what we're all in there buying. I don't see many people that go into the store and just hit the produce section and walk out, And we won't even talk about the meat section. You obviously know that God expects us to be vegan. I think that's clear by now, right? Because you can't murder people or others. You can't murder people. Right? In a humane way, it's impossible. There's no way to humanely murder you. I don't think you would agree with any way, right? Right? Your neighbor is like, hey, I'm hungry and I'm going to eat you, but I'm a nice person, right? I'm a nice person. I'm going to eat you, not because I have to, because I want to, because I like the taste. It's just how I grew up. I'm a cannibal, so it's my culture. I'm just a cannibal. It is what it is. Sorry. So, with that in mind, how would you like to die? I want it to be as humane as possible because I like you. I think you're a good person. I'm glad you had a good life. It's going to end quickly. You're going to get shorted a lot of years, but just know that I'm going to have a nice meal out of the deal. So that makes it worth it, right? I'm going to have a nice meal. And I will do it in a humane way. So I just need you to pick it. What do you want? Do you want like a gas chamber or something nice like that? You want to get like a bolt in your head? That should be fairly quick, I would guess. I don't know. I haven't done it yet, but let me know. I'll see how much you writhe around. I don't think they drown them. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe some of them they do. I don't know. But you get the idea, right? It's disgusting. So meat department, eggs, it's veganism. That's the way. But yeah, so it's that, and it's all the packaged items in the frozen section. Those bags aren't even recyclable. Like, you think you're doing the right thing. You're buying these fruits and vegetables that are frozen so you can take them home and cook them. But then you got all this packaging. It's the packaging. What are you going to do with the packaging? You can't even recycle it because the material, like the little bags, you can't recycle that. So, what else is there? Bottled water. They got lots of bottled water in the store. You notice that because it's a water fast. So it's a 3-day water fast. But you're drinking water, but you know what? You use a reusable bottle. That's what you use. And then I get those big 5-gallon jugs they're plastic jugs, but they're reusable. Right? I take them up to the store and I fill them up. So you've got the reusable 5-gallon jugs. You got the reusable water bottle. And then everything else, I'm not going to go through the entire store because it's supposed to be a video about fasting, even though I'm rambling on. But yeah, it's horrible. I'm not going to go through the rest of the store. But you get the idea, right? It's terrible to go in the store, and I love the produce department. And nuts and seeds, wherever they have those in the store. And rice too. It's a lot of carbs. You got to keep that in check, but rice is good. Rice is good. It's good filler. So back to the fasting. Let's get back on topic here. 3-day fast. Much easier than I expected. Day 2, I would say, was the hardest, which I looked online, so I knew that was going to happen. But it wasn't. I honestly, like doing intermittent fasting, that seems harder for me to pick a window. To be like, I'm going to do 16 hours and 8 hours, something like that, or 24, whatever you come up with, whatever works for you. I think that's definitely the way to do it. It works out great for me. Like, my body feels better, and I'm training myself not to be gluttonous and always want food and, live the food pyramid or whatever. They're like, oh, breakfast is the most important meal, and you have a snack and then lunch and a snack and dinner and you have another snack, and so you're just eating constantly. You're just constantly like throwing stuff in your face. So I think the intermittent fasting, like on a normal basis, I think works out a lot better for me. But I will say that at least until I'd done this fast, it was harder for me because I was coming from like the just rampant consumption, It was just consuming. And that's just what I was used to. It was the culture I grew up in. So when I went to like intermittent fasting and I was trying to do like 16-8 or 24 or whatever, it seemed difficult. I was feeling better. I was getting through it most days, but it was difficult. And then I noticed that when I did this fast, the 3 days, I knew I wasn't going to eat, and I'm still not going to eat. I'm not going to eat until like, I don't know. It's got this little app. It's pretty cool. It's like a little app you could look on. Like it, you can get it for free. It says not commercial, but it kind of goes through the stages. You can do like, shows you where ketosis hits, and then what else we got? What else we got on this thing? Heavy ketosis, yep. And I checked those. I had little meters. I checked all that. Autophagy, I guess that's where your body breaks down like all your dead cells and broken cells and things like that, and then kind of rebuilds them. It kind of just replenishes your body. That's super awesome. And then, growth hormone, I guess, peaks when you do fasting. Hey, that's cool. I'll take that. And then insulin resistance. I guess your body gets better at dealing with insulin because my glucose. I think the lowest reading I got, and I don't think I checked this morning. I was keeping like a little diary. No, I didn't do it this morning, so I'll have to do that. But glucose got down to like 70 is the super low, but they say that your body gets used to dealing with insulin or something with insulin resistance. I don't know. I never really had too much of an issue with that ever since I went vegan. That kind of went away. Even though you can be a trash vegan, you can be an Oreo eating, pile of sugar in your hand vegan. You can do that. You can, gain tons of weight doing that because sugar is terrible for you. But everything feels good, and it's so much easier. Not easy. It's not easy, right? 3 days without food, unless you're, someone who's fasted a lot, then hey, I'm just a rookie coming in. But if you've never done it, it's not easy, right? But I think it's easier than intermittent fasting, because with intermittent fasting, you're like sitting here watching the clock and you're like, sometimes you're like, oh, ooh, I got 2 hours to go. Similarly, they're nail biting or white knuckling, whatever they call it. But now that I've done this fast, like now that I know I can go 3 days and be like, I, I don't care. Like, how will I ever be like in a gluttonous way thinking, oh, I got to have a snack. I got to have this. Or I ate a couple hours ago, but I kind of want to do. Like, I know now, like I've gone 3 days, 3 full days, 72 hours with no food, nothing but water. That's it. I didn't have any major complications. Thankfully, I don't drink coffee anymore, and I don't drink soda or anything like that. None of that sugary stuff. I have had snacks, but not. It was more like someone I had in my life. They like snacks, and we'll get to that. But I didn't really have any headache issues or anything because I'm a vegan, so I eat pretty well. I eat what I'm supposed to eat. Um, so yeah, I didn't have any major, like some people talk about headaches. I didn't have any of that stuff. The only thing I had was just my body was used to eating, and thankfully I intermittent fasted first, so it wasn't as abrupt. But you definitely know you could eat. Like right now, I could eat. I tell you what, on day 3, it's very strange. Day 2 was I will say the hardest. Day 1 was, day 1 you're like gung ho. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna fast and I'm gonna go 3 days. I'm gonna be like, I'll be praying. I'll be talking to God. I'll be, teaching my body what it's like to not have food, giving my body time to recharge. It's really good. Like all around, it's great, and it teaches you what it's like for people in other countries or your country, right? Everywhere, there's people starving everywhere. So it teaches you like what it's like to be them, even though it's different. I think it's different for me to go 3 days, even though knowing I have food in the fridge, I could go get food. Right, it's right up there. I could go get it. So it's different, even though it is a self-discipline. It's self-control. You're teaching yourself to control yourself, right? Self-control. So it's not easy, but it's still close to what people that in other areas or in your area, whatever, people that are starving, it gives you an idea what they go through. It gives you an idea how their body feels, like whether it feels a little bit weaker because you're not taking food, or your body's switching over from burning glucose to ketones, and what that transition feels like, because people starve every day. There's people starving right now when you're watching this video. People watching this video haven't eaten in 3 days. So I think it's really good that you understand what that feels like. And, sometimes they say like in a fast you'll have like a spiritual breakthrough, and, you should be praying. I pray to God every day. Definitely at night, but also throughout the day I have conversations. I talk to God. It doesn't need to be something, I'm not getting on my knees and like this. It doesn't need to be some kind of ritual. It's just a relationship. Right? And I don't say it out loud. These are conversations that I have with God. Sometimes it'll be out loud, but not always, and usually not. And it's just throughout the day, I have little conversations. I see little things, I'm like, oh, that's hilarious, nice one, But sometimes they say like you'll have a spiritual breakthrough because a lot of people, you pray more, as you're thinking of hunger, maybe you can pray more and talk to God and, be out in nature and see the world, see the gift that God gave us. See everything. Plants, the animals, humans, everything, the lakes, the rivers, the mountains, all of it. So, but as far as like a breakthrough, like I did have one and I wasn't expecting it. I literally I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it like for the medical reasons and the spiritual reasons. And I thought like, oh, maybe like a spiritual breakthrough, something would happen, and something did happen. Yeah, I guess you could say like it is technically spiritual. It has a spiritual impact on me. That's for sure. Like I had something in my life that wasn't healthy for me. I mean, it was. It was a give and take. It was healthy, but it wasn't healthy. I think it was definitely more unhealthy than it was healthy. And this thing in my life that is now gone, it happened during this fast. I don't think that it was. I don't think the fast caused it or anything, right? But the timing is quite odd. It's quite interesting the way that it played out. And this thing that was in my life, like I knew from the first day that I met person or thing or whatever. So I knew from day one that the person was not supposed to be in my life. I knew it. I knew it was bad. It wasn't like a bad omen or anything. Like, I just knew when I met this person or whatever that they weren't for me. All right. It was very odd the way they came into my life. I'd never met this person before, but it just happened. And I knew from day one it was wrong. I knew. But, I didn't listen to myself. I figured, oh, I can just, dabble with it a little bit, be like a little bit involved or whatever. And then, that doesn't work. And it wasn't like it was all bad. It was good. It was really, there was some good that came out of it. But it's definitely something that I shouldn't have had in my life, at all. And I knew that. I absolutely 100. It wasn't like I had a hunch or I was like, maybe. No. It was an absolute no. And I knew it from the moment I sat down. I knew it. And then, you get it out of your life, back in your life. It's just back and forth, things that we've all done. But now, just because of how things played out during the fast, like I said, the timing is odd, but during the fast, how things played out, it's definitely done, and I know that it was always supposed to be out of my life. And oddly enough, the timing just worked out. And, this person now is like going down a different path in their journey, like employment and things like that. So they're going to be going their way and I'll be going my way. So, which is the path I was supposed to be on anyway. Sometimes you have three options and you think like, oh, maybe it's option one, maybe it's option two. And you bounce back and forth, and you keep going. And eventually you're like, what? It's option three? The one you weren't even thinking about. But hey, that's life. That's how it plays out, God knows how the story, even though we have free will, God kind of knows how the story will go. And we don't always know that. We don't always agree. And we kind of fight it. And, God knows best. So, but it did happen during the fast. So I did have a breakthrough during the fast. It does have spiritual impact on me, 100%. Because the person or thing that was in my life was kind of causing me to fall short in some areas. It's kind of like a stumbling block. So it does, even though it's more of a physical type thing, that happened, the splitting or anything, it's still spiritual because of the impact it was having on me, on me and my relationship with God and, whether I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it absolutely has a spiritual impact, very, very large one. And it did come out of this fast. So, hey, I'll take credit for it. I'll attribute that to the fast, even though I did it for other reasons. I wasn't expecting that to be one of the things that came out of it, but it did. I don't know how it happens. It just did. So things will be a lot different for me going forward, which is great because it needed to happen and now it did. And I also taught myself how to keep, my gluttonous intent with food at bay, because now no matter what, even if I'm I had a meal 6 hours ago again, and I'm just thinking, well, maybe I'll have a little snack or something. Once you can go 3 days voluntarily without food, 3 days. It's not 5, 7, 21. It's not some big, super long one. It's just 3 days. But it's not super easy either if you're used to being a normal person and eating all the time. So it is something. And if you're just trying to get your gluttony under control with food and sweets, especially all that sugar and nasty treats and all that stuff that we're eating, or just food in general, right? You can eat too many potatoes. You can eat too much broccoli. It would take you a long time. If you're eating broccoli, you're doing pretty well. But, you can't overeat things. But it teaches you, self-control. And self-control is critical. God expects us to have self-control down here, which we absolutely don't. And in sexual areas and food, gluttony, well, yeah, basically all that stuff over there: pride, greed, lust, envy, indulgence, wrath, sloth, all of it, right? A lot of that comes from selfishness and murder and everything else. So lots of problems to fix here. But, it just teaches you self-control. So if you've ever had a problem like eating too much or, weight issues, whatever, gluttony, you should definitely fast. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how long to fast. Go get medical advice. I'm not a doctor. But spiritually, as it relates to sin and gluttony and self-control and things like that, I think it would be fantastic for you to do it. All right? Pray to God throughout the process. Look for answers and things like that. But you should definitely do it. And no matter what, no matter how many times a year I do this, or if maybe now that I've done 3, I can do a 5, and then maybe do a 7, and keep going. But it was a progress. It's a process, and it's going to help me tremendously, and it already has. If I get nothing out of this fast, then what I was able to take out of my life, and the spiritual impact that's going to have on me going forward, if that's all I get out of this fast, it was worth it. Not to mention the fact that I lost 7 pounds in 3 days somehow. I guess because you're just drinking water and your body's just eating your fat off you, because what else can it do? So if you want to lose weight, you don't need any fancy pills. You don't need any medication or patches or anything. All you need to do is something that people have been doing for thousands of years. Control your eating. Control your gluttony. Right? Get on a time feeding schedule, like intermittent fasting, something like that, which you can do all the time. That should just be normal. And then if you throw in some fasting in there, if which you should, and it's guaranteed to work. Unlike medications like Ozempic and other stuff you see in the news, right? That could end up killing you, causing all kinds of nasty things to happen in your body. All these pharmaceuticals. You could just fast, which people have been doing for thousands of years. And it works. Like I said, if you're worried or concerned, talk to a doctor and get some medical advice. But just understand your medical doctor is probably not someone who fasts. Or I would say the majority don't. They're probably just normal people like us eating that sad American diet. Or whatever diet. It doesn't matter. It's global. But so just, be careful with the advice that you get. But I definitely recommend it. Like I said, I had a huge spiritual breakthrough in an odd way that's going to impact me forever, for a very, very long time. And it's a lesson I needed to learn, and I don't know how I came out of it fast, but it did, so I'll take it. And it keeps your gluttony under control. When you go 3 days, you can never say oh, I have to eat something before I go to bed, or I have to eat this, or I have to eat a snack. No, you don't, because you'll remember, well, hold on. Remember that time I didn't eat for 3 whole days and all I had was water? I made it through that. Even though I had food, there's food over there in the cabinets. I can go get food. There's snacks over there. I can go get them. But I didn't, because I wanted to humble myself. I wanted to see what it was like to starve. I wanted to starve myself. Although fasting is different, because starving means you don't have access to food, right? You don't have any access to food. That's starving. When you have access to your fasting, that's different. Because you're choosing it. It's self-control. You're choosing not to eat. For medical, spiritual benefits, things like that. Self-control issues, which is spiritual. So it was great. And I've still got a ways to go, which I don't know what it is about day 3, but I'm not hungry at all. Which is very odd. I haven't eaten in 3 days. This is day 3. I haven't eaten. I still got 7 hours to go. But for whatever reason, today, yesterday was probably the hardest part. But it wasn't that hard, because I knew, I was no, I'm not eating for 3 days. I'm doing this. I'm going to get it done. And it wasn't that bad. Because your body, when it switches over to ketones, however that works biochemically, I don't know how that works. But I wasn't that hungry. I guess because of ghrelin and leptin and things like that. They're much better people you can go see online and talk about that. But I guess that does have something to do with it, your food hormones and things like that. So day 2 was the worst of it, but it really was nothing to what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be this horrible experience that I was just going to have to get through no matter what. And I did. I will. But it wasn't. Day 2 was the hardest, I guess you could say. But day 3 for whatever reason today. I don't know if it's because like I know I'm going to end the fast today, or if it's just something with like the ghrelin and leptin and ketones. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Watch some videos on it. I'm not an expert. But today's really easy. Like, I feel like if I had to, I could just go like much longer. There's definitely, some food left on this body, if you will, right? There's some fat stores there. But I could always do a 5, 7, maybe progress it. Who knows? But yeah, definitely, if you've never done it before, I highly recommend it for many benefits. Maybe you'll get some weird benefit out of it. Like maybe you'll fast, and then God will open up some doors or windows in your life, and things will happen. I can't say they're going to be like directly related to the fast, but hey, it happened to me. It could happen to you. And if nothing else, you're going to learn self-control, and you're going to get your gluttony under control, no matter what. So, and your body will have time to repair itself. All the like broken and damaged cells, it'll have time to repair that, and your stomach will have time to heal because you're not jamming it with food all the time. It's pretty awesome all around, and I highly recommend it. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. The grocery stores and all the horrible products they have in there that we're destroying the planet with, because these gifts are sacred. These gifts that God gave us. The planet. Hey! Shh! Shh! Stop. The planet and the animals and us and everything. Like everything that God gave us, it's amazing. And they're gifts. And you shouldn't destroy gifts. You shouldn't destroy God's creations. God created the planet, so we shouldn't destroy it. God created the animals. We shouldn't destroy them. God created us. We shouldn't destroy us. The only thing God gave us to eat are plants and vegetables and things. Hey! Shh! Hey! Things that don't feel pain. Right? If it feels pain, you probably shouldn't kill it. It's just pretty simple. Hey! Shh! Quiet. So yeah, don't destroy gifts. We shouldn't destroy the planet. We shouldn't destroy each other. We shouldn't destroy animals. Sentient beings. They shouldn't be destroyed. You're murdering something. You're murdering something that feels pain. And you shouldn't do it. And if you ever wanted to fast and you've never done it before, or you're thinking of bumping it up, you should definitely do it. Yeah, probably the most impactful, like for those people doing those first 3-day fasts. Like, you're not used to it, right? You're used to just eating all the time and eating snacks and all this stuff. Like it'll change you. It'll have an impact. And then people have done 3, maybe bump it up to 5, 7, whatever it is. Who knows? But I just wanted to give you my feedback on how my fast went, and it'll be over soon. And will it be the last one I ever do? No, absolutely not. I got too much out of it, and it helps me keep me in check. Like I said, if I got nothing out of it, then that one accidental benefit that's going to have huge spiritual impact on me and others, it was worth it. Aside from the health and the weight loss and the self-control and getting gluttony under control and things like that, all of it was good. The only thing that was negative was a slight bit of discomfort I had because of how I trained myself. Through culture and eating habits, I trained myself to constantly consume, right? Like the food industry wants me to do. The food industry sits around and they make these ingredients and they get these food products and all this sugar and all this junk and they put in there. And then behind the scenes, they got biochemists working on it and psychologists and everything on the advertising and the marketing, trying to figure out how do we get these people to eat more, because they're ruthless capitalists and all they care about is profit, so that they can feed their precious shareholders. They want money, and they'll do whatever they have to do. Do you think a food company, a food processing, the food industry, do you think the food industry wants you to fast? Are you kidding me? Because it's going to affect their profit, right? They're going to sit around and design foods that make you eat and drink more. And then they're going to use advertising and stick it in front of your face all the time to make you want to eat. Trust me, when you go 3 days or however long you do, whatever, that's up to you. But if you do it, you're going to realize, because you're going to see all the advertising while you're hungry, right? You're going to see all that advertising. And you're going to be going through the stores and it'll just hit you. You'll realize it. Everyone's buying like massive amounts of food and eating all the time. I mean, look at a football game. Have you been to a football game? I don't go anymore. It's sports, but it's a violent sport too. And all kinds of like money lust and sexual impropriety and cheerleaders dancing around like strippers in front of families. Like, what is that about? There was a game the other day and these girls doing their job, I guess, right? Making people lust. Were out there in these outfits, like, shaking their stuff around. Like, what kind of sport is this? Number one, you're creating idols out of all these players, right? So you're creating idol worship with these players. And you're giving them tons of money that's going to ruin them, right? It's going to ruin the planet because of the consumption patterns. You've got a violent sport. It's about violence. If you turn that into flag football, you know what's going to happen? You won't have any people watching it because they like the violent hits. They like the violence. And, they played it. It's very like machismo type of sport, tackling and hurting things and knocking people out. How many times have you sat in front of the couch and someone gets hit and you're like, oh, wow, look at that. It's amazing. It's a violent sport. It's loaded with money and advertising and beer and alcohol and murdered animals, right? You got all these animals sitting around getting murdered. So you can have your little chicken wings and whatever, burgers and all this stuff. And you're drinking your beer, right? And you're watching these girls as you're inebriated. You're slamming down your chicken wings and you got your hamburgers over here, mowing down your drinks, right? You got all your football apparel on that you wasted all this money on, all these jerseys, right? Because of the idols that you worship, those sports idols in your life, the ones that you know more about them and maybe you know about your own family or friends or people in your city, your locale, right? So you're supporting this idol worship. You're drunk. No, not everyone, but you know what I mean. Just go with it, right? You're mowing down the chicken wings and stuff, and you're watching these girls dressed like strippers dancing around with pom-poms. Why are they there? Well, they're there so you can lust over them. That's why. If it was really about the dancing, they could find something else to dance in that isn't form-fitting, that isn't skin-tight, that isn't see-through, right? Right? You don't need to be seeing everything that's going on under this shirt. That's not for you. You don't need to see all this. So you shouldn't have these girls out there dressed like strippers. Right? The only difference is there was no pole out there. I mean, they were out there shaking their stuff. They were getting into it in front of children, in front of men, married men. Can you imagine taking your wife to this event and you get seats down that are lower to the ground and you got to sit there and you're watching your husband like, you better not look. You better not look. Right? Because they're not supposed to be out there. You're not supposed to have... You've got a violent sport built on violence, whether you want to believe that or not. If you don't believe me, turn it into flag football. See what happens. Go ahead. Do it. At that point, you'll just be watching a sport, right? Not a violent sport, just a sport. And I'm not saying that sports in general is bad for kids. My son played soccer growing up. It can absolutely be violent. It did mold him. It taught him about things in life not going your way and like losing a game and bouncing back. There are good aspects to it. But I'm just talking about the football professional, let's say NFL, right? Like it's about the money, right? In college, and we're not going to get off tangent, but you got a violent sport that creates idol worship, that leads to massive amounts of money that people are spending. I don't know what it is. I know it's billions, but massive amounts on merchandise and trinkets and jerseys, right? People are wasting their money on. They're in there eating all these murdered animals, these sentient beings that were murdered, so that you can sit there and just mow down your chicken wings and your pizzas and your hamburgers and all this stuff. And you're slamming your alcohol down and you're watching these strippers run around, dancing around. It's just horrible. All of it. And sports in general, because of the idol worship. And then the amount of money you're giving these people, you're going to ruin them. You're going to ruin these players. by giving them that amount of money. Because what are they going to do? They're going to sin. They're going to be greedy. They're going to be gluttonous. They're going to own more than they need. They're going to own gigantic houses, multiple cars. They're going to destroy the planet by their lifestyles because of how much they consume, because of the amount of money they have. Right? You gave them that amount of money to become idols in your life. I'm not saying they did it intentionally. Trust me, I grew up in this place. I know how it works. You grow up here, you don't see it. It's hard to see. It takes time, and your eyes have to be like ripped open. And then once your eyes are ripped open, you'll see it. And you'll be like, wow, what is this place? Where am I? But yeah, it's rough. So I don't want this to drag on too much longer. But that's it. So talked about the fasting, spiritual breakthrough I had, which is going to have massive impacts on me, and I highly recommend it if you've never done it. So that's it for now. But just remember, God loves us, and God loves all of God's creations. So God would just respectfully ask that we respect God enough to love God's creations, which means that we love all the sentient beings, all the others in our lives. We love them enough not to murder them and enslave them and turn them into purses and coats and things like that. And then we stop murdering each other, right? We got like 20,000, 22,000 Gazans dead right now. I think 50, 70% are children, right? So things like that. And you got the issues over in Ukraine, all over. And in Africa, they're slaughtering people. Who is it? The Fulani or something like that tribe? It's kind of a Christian Muslim thing in the background, plus land disputes. We're just horrible. We're just horrible creatures, God made humans, God made animals. We're the same. We have the same rights. We're souls in a vessel having an experience on our journey. So we should treat others, sentient beings, just like we treat ourselves, because we are the same. We're exactly the same. It's no different. In God's eyes, He looks down here and sees a version of hell compared to what's designed to happen. Right? We're supposed to respect God. We're supposed to be in line with God's wishes. And God loves His creations, even though His creations turn out to be cannibals and murderers. So now we're just going to have to fix that. So we have to respect God's creations, which means we respect each other, humans, right? We respect other sentient beings on the planet. We respect the planet itself because it was a gift. It was given to us for free. We didn't pay for it. God didn't sell it to us. God's not sitting up there going, ooh, I wonder how much profit I can make on this, and I wonder how much money I can get for the shareholders, how much stuff I can buy. He gave it to us as a gift because God wanted to have a relationship, which is why we were created and why the animals were created. And the planet, what do you do when you have those things? You need somewhere to put them, right? You have animals and plants and humans and everything. You need a place for them to live. So you have a planet. And then you put all your gifts on this large gift of the planet. So I think we should all just take care of God's gift. Us, the animals, the planet, our souls, all created, all gifts. God didn't charge us a thing. God's not worried about profit. He just wants to have a relationship with us, with all of us. Not just the humans, with all of us. So we need to learn to respect life in general, right? We don't respect life. We murder billions of sentient beings. Probably trillions, actually. It's probably trillions every year. And God has to watch that because we're savages. We rape, and we murder, and we're gluttonous. right? And we're greedy and we worship idols, and this place is a mess. But it doesn't mean that it always has to be. It can change, and it will change as soon as we change. So if you just focus on you first, right? You fix you, and then you fix the people around you. And you fix the culture. You share information online. You talk to people in your life. You share the information. You spread the good news, right? The good news that God wants us to have that's going to fix this place. Because right now, it is ravaged with sin. Because we're sinful people. We're a sinful species. But it doesn't have to always be like that. It can change. And it has to change. So let's protect God's creations. Let's have a relationship with God. Pray. Talk to God. It's just a conversation. It's not some fancy prayer. It's just a conversation. All right? So that's it. So I hope your 2024, I hope you had a great holiday season, and I hope you're looking forward to 2024. It's going to be a hoot. I'm sure there'll be a lot going on, and not all of it's going to be great, probably, good and bad. But transitions are sometimes dramatic. And our transition, it has to be dramatic. Because we are so far off the mark, there's no way to change it without a little bit of turmoil. It's how it's going to happen. And we may have years to go on that, and we have a lot to change in how we treat this planet. Because if not, you're going to create a hellscape that you're going to have to live in. And others that come after you are going to have to live in. And the animals are going to have to live in. Why? Because we're greedy. And we're gluttonous. And we always want more because we are never satisfied. We never have enough. We'll never have a big enough house or big enough car or enough cars or a different car or a second house or, whatever it is, or enough food. We never have enough technology. Always need more. We're never satisfied. So until we learn to be content with our life and live small, we're going to keep destroying this planet. And the planet's going to essentially end up destroying us if we're not careful. But God does love us. God knows how lost we are. And God wants to provide guidance so that we know how to live here for a very long time. So let's just please listen. And I hope you have a wonderful 2024 and beyond. And if you haven't ever done it, I highly recommend fasting. There are many, many benefits that we talked about. I won't go through them again, but it's absolutely had an impact on me. It's spiritually, time management wise, everything. Just, it's exactly what I needed to happen. And somehow it happened during a 3-day fast. So how that worked out, I don't know. It just did. But that's it. Have a great week.